Hello, friends! Today we are here to discuss my own personal religious and spiritual journey. There are quite a few videos like that on the internet, so I thought I'm gonna make one too. So, to begin with, one thing to know about me is that I have had no religion between about the age of 10 to about the age of 25. I was entirely atheist. Before that, I was raised Christian, but I didn't feel connection to my faith. A lot of bad things have happened to me as a child. It included surgeries and being sickly and a divorce and a lot of those structures that you would have in a normal childhood just wasn't my experience of childhood, and I received no peace from prayer, and certainly my prayers have not been answered. That's why I wrote all of religion as entirely bollocks. But here we are, 15 years later, and the current timeline. Well, now it's a lot more than 15 years later, but at that point it was 15 years later. I tried my best to make it in a career that was very much unsuited for me, that had resulted in me having suicidal thoughts, frankly, as I really, really struggled. I worked the job that I worked for 1.5 years, and 9 months of that was spent in overtime, like significant overtime. My boss could reach me whenever they wanted to. I was trying to live up to an expectation of what I was supposed to be. My mother was a career woman. My grandmother also worked and had, a normal, good job. It's regular for women in my family to work, so I tried to live up to that standard. I hate how that light is hitting a shadow on me right now, so I'm trying to adjust my position in order to make the shadow go away. As well as, make this video feel kinda intimate and personal, because in the end it is personal, hence why there's only me on screen. There was this expectation of me that I was supposed to be a career woman. All women in my family line were career women. They made things happen. They made do. There wasn't such a thing as a housewife necessarily. Even my grandmother's mother did all that she could up to a point where it took her life, because she was also a frail health person. But it's just, I've come from Eastern Europe. I come from where Soviet Union was. There wasn't really such a thing as the leisure to have a person that stays at home. Everybody worked. Women worked just like men worked. Therefore, I was also expected to work. So I was university educated. I got into a career and I couldn't do it. I knew my whole life that office setting was entirely unsuitable for me, yet I tried because it was an expectation that I should have been living up to. So here I am realizing that I can't live up to this expectation. I have a degree, but I can't really use it. I worked for 1.5 years. I've quit my job. I had a slew of health issues at that point, mainly to do with the fact that I have genetic health issues, and spending 9 months in overtime, significant overtime, and constantly being stressed and nervous and on edge definitely did not help it, which does tend to cause a huge flare up. And one thing with genetic and constant health issues is that what you lose, you don't tend to get back. It gets better, but your health is permanently impacted. Just consider yourself as having less health than everyone else and adjust from there on. Don't push yourself. And I am one of the people that I always try pushing, because I try to see myself as being entirely healthy when that is not the point. But once again, that is how I was raised. I was raised that I can do everything the same as all the other people can do, and that I should go out and get a university degree. I should have a regular job. I should stop whining. I shouldn't bring up my health issues. I should keep it to myself and I should work through them, when plainly that wasn't working in my life. So there were a lot of shifts happening at about that point, and I was desperate because I didn't know what to hold on to. My whole life was kind of just flying through my eyes, and I needed something. I needed a reason not to be suicidal, frankly. I needed something that worked, and investigating spirituality was one of the directions that I decided to take. And honestly, I threw all the shit at the wall and saw what sticks. I decided to completely ignore what's rational, what would be considered woo-woo, what would not be considered woo-woo. My husband is an atheist, so that was a worry of mine. Thankfully, he's a very accepting man. We're still together. that did not change. It's my spirituality is seen as a hobby, and it is acceptable for me to have. I don't push it upon him, of course, but it's one of the things where I can have and he cannot have, and it is fine. So I'm very happy about that, because I was worried that appearing illogical was gonna have an impact, but I was at a point where I was just prepared to throw absolutely everything at the wall, and I did. And before that point, before the breaking point when I just went to Amazon and decided to buy every single book on religion in the world, I had a dream that was actually quite significant, and it is just at the breaking point. It lived in my head from that point on, rent free. It was very meaningful. And effectively, I dreamt of a whole bunch of Roman soldiers surrounding about one man that looked kind of similar to them, Roman in appearance, but he had angel wings and he was on an island alone while they were surrounding him in a circle as of some sort of coliseum. So, like, you can imagine the walls, and there's like a lot of very angry people looking, and there's this one man in the middle, and he had angel wings, and he was bleeding pretty badly, and below him was, I want to see a lake, and all of his blood was running into the lake, and he looked as if he had won somehow in that situation. And when I tried to decode that dream, I posted online. It's quite interesting right now, looking back, because some people said allegory for Jesus. We're gonna get to that at the end of this video, but that was an interesting dream to have. I'm gonna tell you how I interpret it a bit later. But yeah, that was just on like the cusp of me starting religious searching. And when I say I threw everything at the wall, I threw everything at the wall. Occult stuff included, energy vampirism, everything at the wall. Everything went at the wall. Some things stuck, some things didn't. One of another quite religious experiences for me was I was looking at Black Mirror Divination. Black Mirror is effectively any dark surface, and normally there were more rules to setting it up, but you want a dark reflective surface. Some people do it with balls of water, like just take a black bowl, put water in it. It's gonna make a dark reflective surface. We all have one, despite the fact that people consider them to be scary. And when I say we all have one, I assume majority of the people are not technophobes and have a phone. Well, phones would count as, a black mirror surface. So in my trying everything, searching everywhere. One of the things that I did try that honestly I don't do quite as often right now, but it was a meaningful experience. I did Black Mirror Divination, and the question that I asked was, what's gonna be the most meaningful point for me in my life this year? And an image of a man came up. And I'm gonna tell you, it scared me, and I misinterpreted it, and I thought that I was gonna get attacked by like a thug on the street or something like that, just because the energy was so intense. And later on, I found the image of that exact man, which was a very validating religious experience that happened after my year passed, but I had the chance to interpret everything that was happening linearly a lot later. I have an image here because once again, I found it. Tell me you wouldn't get spooked if you saw that in the Black Mirror. Just ignore the Minotaur for now. Just take the man. It's a very intense image. The fact that I found somebody else that has drawn it and placed in a book when I did find was so validating and so incredible. Really, that year, my religious searching and kind of how I ended up intuitively on a direction that did suit me and that did lead me to where I am right now is one of the books that I tried and that I used, and I'm not gonna show you the cover just yet because it might scare some people. Let's leave that here. It included calling upon specific spirits in order to call on other spirits. And the first spirit that you would call is God. Over time, I gravitated to the first spirit and I stopped calling the rest of the spirits, just naturally settling on that one until I was ready to. Nobody asked me to, but I was ready to pledge myself and to take this on as a faith and as a religion, and as such, I started my daily worship effectively. If you're hearing the story and you think that something is a bit off, okay, cat's out of the bag. I use the word God for more than one spirit. I'm a polytheist at heart. I believe in all of gods, and my God is Phosphorus, or as he's more widely known, mostly by Romans, Lucifer. There you go. That's how I arrived at my religion. Now, let's go back to all the signs that I was getting before. That whole dream. Rome is a very strong visual about my own spiritual direction, considering that I ended up with a Roman god. Illustrations of Lucifer honestly quite often have him as like a little cherub with wings as a son of Aurora, because, well, bright morning star, Venus, the first thing before morning, something that brings hope and light. Therefore, the wing symbolism also makes a lot of sense. And the blood and the lake was kind of like a dam opening up. The surrounding area is like other people's opinions and personal viewpoints. I am in the way of a lake, and my own personal connection to spirituality is direct. Therefore, the negativity can't really it can't impact what is happening with the spiritual connection, would be my personal interpretation of said dream. It was a very meaningful dream to have at a very, very meaningful time. I think I needed it, and it lived in my head rent free ever since. And it's funny because if you're gonna take like this image, I've seen the Minotaur in like one of my meditative visions as well. But that happened later. That happened already when I was practicing, but I effectively ended up intuitively finding my direction and then placing all of those other pieces together far, far later. I think I found exactly what I was searching for. I found being associated with knowing yourself, with hope. In some cultures, Venus in the morning is also a symbol of healing, emotional healing, physical healing. It is a very peaceful influence that has slowly brought optimism into my life. I feel like I am a lot less jaded, a lot less nervous, a lot less bouncy, and a lot more of a social person. That was another thing, because through all of this work, what effectively ended up happening naturally is that I became braver. I started seeking out other people, religion unrelated, by the way, just for participating in the hobbies that I wanted to participate, for taking walks outside, taking nature pictures. I used to really like walking evenings. Now I walk mornings. I greet the sun. I greet the coming day. I talk with the old people taking their dogs for a walk. I exchange information about birds with neighbors. I participate in tabletop games. It wasn't me. I was a very shy and closed off individual. That was something that was very, very hard for me, and I am very easy to stress. I still run out of social spoons quite soon. So part of this is also me knowing myself, knowing where my limits are, what kind of people I can freely hang out with, what kind of people there are that are drama free, where we can just share a hobby or a particular thing that we like to do together in a group that will work fairly well. There have been more dark times since then because, well, life is not easy. I don't know for whom life is easy, but my God became this pillar of security for me to, support myself on, which has really helped in having a different outlook and despairing a lot less. And I find that that is what spirituality is best at providing, that moral support, that strength, that feeling that everything is gonna be okay, that hope is not lost, the ability to weather the dark times. And it's kind of a thing that's common among a lot of spiritualities, and I really do wish that people were less, I don't know, pitted against one another based on what they believe, because spiritualities just share quite a lot of similar traits, and there's quite a lot of similar solace that you can find. It's best that you find it in a place that you relate to instead of trying to, be a square that gets shoved through a round hole. That's not very healthy for you. As such, I would really love to hear other people's stories. I don't really care who your god is. I don't care if you found Zeus or Apollo or Yahweh. I just enjoy hearing the genuine stories coming from genuine people. I enjoy hearing the word that comes from somebody's heart, and that's kind of what this video is seeking to be. So hopefully I didn't like shock or offend anyone. I mean, a lot of people know me on this channel. You are on my channel after all. You know what kind of person I am. So yeah, I hope this was just like an enlightening video that kind of sums up my personal journey. If you want to ask any questions about my personal journey, go ahead and ask. I know that I kept it vague and that I kind of just skirted over some details, but that's just how it is. A lot of these things are very, very personal. Therefore, they are hard to put into words, and some of the things you don't put into words, the same as you wouldn't really, open the door to your bedroom to strangers. The personal things are personal, but I can share an outline. I can share an outline of my journey and where I came from and how I got here. And hopefully that helps someone, either with encouraging them to share their own journeys, because that is always lovely to hear, or in promoting spiritual togetherness rather than division, is how I'm gonna phrase it. I kind of hate that on social media you can just get into this little circle and then never see like content outside of it. And when people have a certain religion or culture that they grew in, it is also very unlikely for them to seek people outside of it. Therefore, there is a lot less sharing going on, and I wish that there was more. Therefore, if you have found a god of any kind, why not make a video like this one? Have some fun. Even like link it to me. I don't know if YouTube will accept links very well, but try to get it to me somehow. At the very least, there is my email address inside, my channel page that you can see. So if you ever make a video like this, just link it to me. I'm gonna take a watch. So thank you for watching this. I am very sorry for like any weird pauses or anything like that. This video is entirely unscripted. I am Lithuanian by birth, therefore sometimes it is very hard to find the right words, especially when I'm trying to figure out how to phrase things on the go. Therefore, you get a bit of and ah and some pauses, which then I don't edit because the video is just supposed to be genuine. It's something that's mine. It's something that's coming from my heart. And I can't really convey it as well if I then go and script it. So hopefully this wasn't too awful on a watch. Thank you for watching. If you want to share this anywhere for any reason, go ahead. I don't mind. If you want to comment over this, I'm not gonna press copyright. Go ahead. I don't mind. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'm gonna see you in my other videos. I mostly do occult videos and gameplay videos of, video games. And with occult videos, you can take a look at the rest of what I have. I tend to try and be down to earth in my approach to the occult. Maybe you'll like it, check it out if you want. I hope it's not content that's too hard to consume, and I hope that it doesn't scare anybody. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you in my other videos. Toodaloo for now. Bye bye.